Well, today's internet drives an awful lot of commerce in the world. Companies use it to sell everything, products and services, and oftentimes to create a positive buzz. But it can be a double-edged sword because negative comments and reviews, whether true or not, can ruin a business and seriously damage the reputation of its owners. And so as part of our ongoing series, Virtual Violations, we're going to tell you how to protect your business online. Our guest this morning, Steve Wire, Managing Director of Reputation Advocate and author of the book, Violated Online. Hey, Steve, welcome to you.
Thank you.
Now, I know you've been here before, and the last time you were here, we talked about how personal reputations can be hurt online. I want to kind of shift gears here a little bit and talk about businesses, because businesses use the internet probably more than people do, individual people do, to promote themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, there's been a big migration. It used to be the Yellow Pages were all you had. Now every business has a web page.
The Yellow Pages. Boy, I can't remember the last time.
I remember back. No. And so everybody's on the internet.
Yeah.
And there are very positive ways where businesses can use it. Most businesses now have a Facebook page. They have Twitter, the ability to tweet. And most businesses have LinkedIn. LinkedIn's 150 million businesses worldwide that are connected. And the great thing is you can connect now your Twitter and your Facebook and your LinkedIn and kind of build your social network for your business. Mm-hmm. That can work real well. And of course, there's always the shadow side to that.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of being able to kind of get yourself out there socially and get your business out there socially. But I want to ask you, with everything positive, there is always that negative. What can business owners do if they do get negative comments or reviews?
Well, the first thing they need to do is they need to be aware of what's out there on their business.
So they've got to be checking all the time.
Most time, it's amazing how many businesses don't even care to look and see what's there. There are lots of sites available that are created by business licenses. People will scrape the information off. As a small business, you have to claim that and put your information in there. Businesses don't even do that many times. So you've got to be aware. You've got to do that. When we get into reviews and comments, everybody has probably done a review site where there's a smiley face or a like or a thumbs up or 5 stars. Most businesses that have negative content, one of two things is happening. Either number one, there's been a single review that's negative, and so you get a 1-star rating because there's only one review, or you've got a disgruntled employee or a competitor that has gone out and put information online about you, and it's not honest information at all. So you've got to figure out what to do about those things. The first thing you can do is you've got satisfied customers, ask them to express themselves. Don't coach them. Simply ask them to go on the sites and offer their rating or offer their review. You can dilute a lot of negative with good.
I think that's a great point. I love that point, because sometimes you'll look and you'll see one negative review, but you'll see like 30 positive. But sometimes people only want to focus on what? That one negative review.
The one review.
Yeah.
And then there's a third type of site that people really wrestle with in small business, and those are sites that basically are designed for complaints. So there are sites out there that have 500,000 complaints on businesses, and none of the information is validated or substantiated. They basically operate in the same way that a bulletin board does. Here's my opinion and I put it up, and they're very damaging because they have high authority in the search engines, and those complaints end up at the top of your search results. People always ask, what do you do about that? And the first thing I always offer is don't rebut them. Because what you're doing...
Don't rebut them.
Because if you do, you're starting a dialogue. And the more content you put on that complaint, the more authority it has with the search engine, and so in a way you're almost validating the complaint.
That's a great point. It's almost like, listen, kind of silence sometimes is golden. But I want to ask you about a story that I'm interested for you to share with our viewers, and it's about a company that was hurt by erroneous postings on a complaint site, exactly what you talked about. Tell me exactly what happened there.
Well, we have several companies that have come to us for help. This one particular company had a disgruntled employee. Somebody had left. And the unfortunate thing is that if you know what you're doing on the internet in a very short period of time, you can create damage for companies. This company basically had one disgruntled employee and replicated its complaint, the person's complaint, on multiple sites, multiple times, and began this ongoing blog of derogatory comments and documents and things like that. And it had a material negative impact on the bottom line of that business, and it was a big, successful business. The big guys are just as vulnerable as the little guys.
So when you have a big guy and there's this little guy who's complaining, what do you do to remedy the problem?
It depends on what's happened, but the very first thing every business, and I've said this every show we've done, you've got to own your identity, you've got to participate in your identity, you have to put positive information out there. A lot of times business owners are hesitant to put information out there, and if you don't put anything in the void, then what fills the void is the negative.
It's more negative, sure.
So you've got to participate. You don't have an option. Either participate in how you're perceived in the marketplace, or you're going to be taken advantage of.
You know, I think this is great advice, because I think sometimes our first instinct is just, you talked about with that one comment, don't fight back. The first thing you want to do is just give a counterpunch because you feel violated.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, what is the takeaway? What do you hope businesses learn?
Well, don't react, respond.
Okay.
You're
so no
not gonna,
counterpunch.
if you punch them, it feels good when you punch,
Sure.
and then you regret it the next day.
That is true.
So you've got to respond, and you've got to really evaluate how serious the issue is. You know, is it systemic, and are there multiple complaints and multiple sites? Because when you get in that situation, that's how people find us as a company. Mm-hmm. If they've got an issue and it's not isolated and it's really materially damaging their business, sometimes you have to call somebody in that does this for a living. That's what our company does. If you get in and evaluate any company, ours or any other company in this business, we'll do a free consultation and give you some input and about directions to go.
Well, I have to tell you, you've given us some tremendous input this morning. Great advice, Steve. Always good to see you.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Appreciate
stopping
it.
by. And if you'd like more information, simply visit reputationadvocate.com, where you can also order Steve's book, Violated Online. Coming up in our series, we'll tell you how to make sure your children get started online with a clean slate and how they can keep it that way.